Hi, my name is Stephanie Ferguson. This is my documentary on Fort Clinch. Fort Clinch was built in 1847 at the mouth of the St. Mary's River. It is similar in shape to the Pentagon with both inner and outer walls. Fort Clinch was a safe haven for blockade runners during the Civil War. It was briefly occupied by Confederate forces. This is the swing bridge that pivots at the middle, which was very unique in its design. Federal troops recaptured the Fort Clinch in 1862. The fort was also used in 1898 during the Spanish-American War, but was abandoned after that. You can see some of the weaponry from the top. This is the jail. There were 3 different types of confinement: loose, solitary, and closed. Loose confinement was minor offenses. Closed confinement was striking a soldier. Solitary was murderers or deserters. There are 6 bastions that line Fort Clinch, each one of them holding their own weaponry, their own ammunition, balls. These holes right here in these walls were what gunmen used to shoot through. They would look and wait, and if any comers would come by. This is the view from the top, from the north. This is where all the cannons are, and you can see how the inner wall protects the inner city. Could you imagine life back then with these huge guns? There's one of the outer walls. There's a total of 54 cannons that are located throughout Fort Clinch. This is one of the bastions that had areas for ammunition, and this is one of the steep walkways to get to the top. That is one of the view from the northeast. That's the harbor that Fort Clinch protects. That's the mouth of the St. Mary's River.
This side.
You can see how vast Fort Clinch is. It's huge. This is another one of the bastions. It has an area where they can watch if people are coming in. There's a storeroom for ammunition. There's a total of about 20 of these rooms throughout, and the walls are fixed differently than the other walls, just in case of explosion. It's like a 3 brick layer. This is the area where the regular officers would eat. This is going to be a room where all your cannonballs, big, little, there were like 3 different sizes to the cannonballs. This is the interior of Fort Clinch. very vast in size. The view is spectacular. Could you imagine back in the day with all old ships trying to get up into the harbor? Fort Clinch is one of the only forts that never really saw any battle whatsoever. There were no wars actually fought there. Now we're coming into the general's quarters. You can see how nice and roomy these rooms are. This is the stateroom, where the supply room, all the stuff on that table that just passed is what the officer had to wear. This gentleman, we asked him for a quote, and his quote was, "Will this war ever end?" This is a storeroom where officers could get their supplies. And this is upstairs, more supplies. Supplies for the kitchen, the barracks. The men were only allowed 25 pounds of straw each month for their bedding. This is the hospital room. And as you can see, it's not very equipped. Could you imagine being back at that time, having to have something to do? This is the officers' quarters. They have a little bit more room than the barracks from the regular soldiers. This is where the officers would eat. Some officers even pulled rank to where they got their own private rooms. You really had to do something spectacular for that. As you can see, the bedding doesn't look very comfortable. Could you imagine? Now this is the regular quarters for the officers. You can see there's like 12 beds to a room. Could you imagine the smell back then? Now this is the bakery. Fresh bread was only made 5 times a week. It took 8 hours of firing time for 7 hours of baking time to make the bread. This was the general's suite. And that's where his protectors would sit, his bodyguards, you would say. You can see that the furnishings are much nicer than the other rooms. I'm not quite sure what these were called. I did try to look them up, but they were strategically placed on the beaches, and it made it hard for people to run their boats up along. Now this lovely snake, while me and my son were headed out toward the backside to go down to the beach and take some photos of the back, I almost stepped on this lovely fellow, missing by 3 inches. Eastern diamondback rattlesnake, a baby at that. Yep. I would have been in a lot of trouble. So glad I didn't get bit, but it did turn out to be a lovely picture. I hope you enjoyed my little video, and have a great day. And if you would like, please leave a comment. It'd be quite enjoyable. Thank you so much.